getting a cancer diagnosis is like getting hit by a bus. So you could say, why me? What did I do wrong? The guy down the street kicked the dog or cheats on his taxes or something. Oh, well, why not you? Were you somebody special? So now you're sick and you're mad. Well, cut out the mad part and just be sick. Concentrate on getting better. Being mad doesn't do anything for you.
Hello and welcome to Cancer Friends on The Patient Story. I'm Andrew Schorr with
Esther Schorr.
And we are also with a dear cancer friend, and that is Lou Lanza, who joins us from Turnersville in South Jersey. He's a South Philly guy. Lou, welcome to our program.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm glad to see both of you.
Let's go back to 2005. You were an engineer working at a nuclear plant and you weren't feeling well. What was going on?
Well, I had the symptoms for about 6 months. I couldn't lay down at night. I couldn't lay down flat. I couldn't sleep. I was better off sitting up and, driving. And I knew when I was driving, I'd have to pull off because I was tired. But the best time I had was flying back and forth to Arkansas. So it was, and I was going, when I get off the plane, I would go to the doctors and everything else. And it was New Year's Day, 2005. I was sitting at home watching the bowl games and the New Year's parade in Philadelphia. A bunch of people walking up and down Broad Street in the Mumber outfits. So my wife said, you got to go to the hospital. I can't stand this. And my wife says, you got to go to the hospital. I said, fine. I'll waste 4 hours of my life. I said, I got to get on a plane Tuesday to get back to work. I'll waste 4 hours of my life. I'm there a half hour. And I guess a lot of you people listen to this know some things about medical procedures. So they did this medical procedure called an X-ray and found the 3 by 5 inch mass in my chest. So at the time I met one of my angels was Dr. Axelrod, and she said, well, you have non-Hodgkin's large B-cell lymphoma. The irony is I had lost my mother when I was 19 to Hodgkin's, not related at all. So at the time, she said, we're going to do this. We're going to do 8 chemo treatments. And after that, we'll see how it is. And then we're going to do radiation. So I did my 8 chemo treatments. After the second treatment, I started losing my hair. So I just shaved it off. And I lost hair and I lost all my weight. And my wife said, you lost all that weight. You look, I said, yeah, I didn't feel like eating. 51 years old. And my mother came up to see me and she said, she goes, are you afraid? She goes, no, I'm not doing backflips, but I'm 51 years old. I got 5 great kids, a beautiful wife, a bunch of friends. I said, if this is my run, this is my run. I said, I'm not giving up, but I'm going to fight like heck and I'm going to do what I have to do.
I mean, Lou, we've known you for many years, and while you have many unique qualities, let's talk about the mentorship that you've focused on in connecting with patients one-on-one in so many different settings along a cancer journey. And so can you talk a little bit about how you got into that first program?
How did it start?
How did that all start?
Well, I guess it's about, I did the buddy system, and I did that. That's just you talk one-on-one with somebody, either by phone or remotely or anything like that, emails, calls. And then they had this thing called the Buddy on the Spot, which is you actually go into the infusion center and talk to the people getting their chemo treatment at Jefferson in Center City. Right. So I guess I've been doing that for about 8 years now. The difficulty with that is I used to do it on Saturdays because I was working full time. But now that I'm retired, I go there Mondays and Tuesdays in Center City, Philadelphia. And I just recently started. They also have one in Washington Township, which I'm a part of, as Turnersville is part of, at their infusion center. So I do that also. And one of the things I get the most, I get rewarded so much just by talking to these people and giving them hope. I tell them I was sitting in that chair 18 years ago. So, if somebody like me could get saved, you're in the right. I always tell them they're in the right place. And one of the things I get out of it, the best thing I can get out of it, and I tell people all the time, there's a lot of heroes in this. the doctors, the nurses, the oncologists, the physical therapists, the pharmacists. The real heroes are people like Esther, the caregivers, and my wife, Dorothy. They're the real heroes. They're the ones that keep us, people like me and Andrew, kicking. You know, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. It's amazing. So one of the first thing I do when I talk to, if some people aren't lucky enough to have caregivers, but if they do, I always go out of my way to thank them and made myself know how much they're appreciated. And sometimes it gets emotional. And you know, you don't have any, as a caregiver, you don't have any downtime at all. Our job as patients was to get better. Their job was everything else.
I want everybody to have a visual image of what Lou is doing. So he goes to the Jefferson Hospital Infusion Center, and he goes 2 days a week, and now he's going to be doing it at a suburban location as well. He walks about 4 miles in that day, going from chemo chair to chemo chair to chemo chair. And as you've said to us, you're not a candy striper, but you're telling people you've been there, and you're meeting them where they are.
Just going to ask that. What are the things that they want to talk to you about, Lou?
And you know, I didn't stay. I stayed a Holiday Inn, but I don't know anything about treatments or chemo. I keep the stories like I said. I let them steer the conversation. If they want to talk about the weather, if they want to ask me about my treatment and everything, I tell them. But mostly, I just tell them, you know, how you doing. A lot of people come outside of Philadelphia. I tell them where to eat, like Skinny Joe's. I thank them for being there, for going through the treatments. A lot of people just give up. And I meet sometimes people aren't too happy. And I tell people all the time, you know, getting a cancer diagnosis is like getting hit by a bus. So you could say, you know, why me? You know, what did I do wrong? You know, the guy down the street kicked the dog or cheats on his taxes or something. Oh, well, why not you? You know, were you somebody special? So now you're sick and you're mad. Well, cut out the mad part and just be sick. Concentrate on getting better. Being mad doesn't do anything for you. And I'm not saying the Mary Poppins to go tropping down the flower pot, but, you know, be grateful. People ask me how I'm doing. I said, he gave me another day. I can't be doing too bad. It better be over the hill than under it. It's amazing the reaction I get from people. You know, I guess I have the gift of gab. It's amazing how many people I've met through this cancer journey, and I'm just meeting you guys. You got me involved with some other alphabet soup.
How did, you know, I think there are probably going to be some people who watch this who want to know, okay, that's great that Lou has done this. How did you connect at Jefferson? How did that come to be that you were able to get into this program, and then maybe share some of the other things that you're doing?
Yeah, you give speeches.
The thing at Jefferson, I guess about 4 or 5 years in, they have a survivor day, and they have little kiosks, and they had this thing called the buddy program. And what the buddy program is match people up with like diagnosis. Like if somebody gets newly diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, I'll talk to them. I'll match up with them. And also what I do on my own is talk to people. And if they're lucky enough I thank their caregivers. And my wife will talk to their kid. I don't know what my wife went through. She doesn't know what I went through. But she agrees if they have a caregiver and wants to talk to her, she'll talk to them. So I do that on my own. I also do a thing called then I do the buddy on the spot, which is why I talk to all cancer patients, not just non-Hodgkin's patients. And that's a one-on-one talking to people. I get them blankets, I get them something to drink or something like that. And I just go around talking to people, trying to help the nurses and the techs out. They can do the heavy lifting. I'm just trying to help out a little bit, try to stay out of their way. The other thing I really enjoy, I do at Jefferson, it's called the health mentoring system. Jefferson Hospital is a university, and what they do is their medical students, it's part of their program. They meet with former patients, and not just cancer patients, any patients, and they get to talk, they get the patient point of view. So right now I'm on my 9th set of patients. And what I do, and there's doctors and nurses in the program and pharmacists and occupational therapists, everybody in the medical. But I tell them as a patient, like, I know we're only going to get 5 minutes with you, but give us those 5 minutes. Don't look over here talking on your computer or talking on the phone or type. Give me those 5 minutes. If I want to talk the weather, let me talk about the weather. If I want to talk about my scans, let me talk. But let me lead the conversation and make sure that I have your attention. Not you're not, like I said, I know they're all important, and I've heard from at least one from every student parent that I've been with, and whenever I do, I got involved with the NCCS in Washington, the National Coalition of Cancer Survivorship Citizen Political Action Team. We go before the Senate and Congress, try to get bills passed for survivorship. I'm part of the ACR with Dr. Fody and Mitch Stoller and Danielle. One of the things I like there is I get to do, they just had the Philadelphia Marathon, and I like handing out the bibs. I lost my sister 10 years ago to glioblastoma, and what she went through and what my brother-in-law Steve and his brother went through to help my sister. So I'm on the committee for that every year to raise money for brain tumor research, stuff like that.
One other aspect of what you've been doing. So you've talked to government officials, you go one-on-one with patients, you're involved in the fundraising, you're involved with AACR, the research group in cancer, but you also speak to the people developing drugs. Now, you're in your area by Philadelphia, there are a lot of big pharma companies, and you've spoken at some of the biggest meetings of pharma people.
Right.
When you tell your story, what do you say to these pharma people from the patient perspective to motivate them to do stuff for us?
Well, it's funny you say, and I got on the pharma conferences because of you two people. It's I for Pharma now, it's Reuters. And they have 2 conferences every year in Philadelphia. And it costs like $3,000 to go to these conferences. But they have me as a patient advocate. So I'm a patient. But one of the things I don't know if I told you the story before or not, but I was up there talking, and everybody talks about big bad pharma. They charge $5,000 for a pill and everything else. But I'm an engineer. I built pharmaceutical facilities. I know it costs $1 billion to build a pharmaceutical facility. I know every program they have, every trial they have costs $1 million, and not everyone gets passed. They're beholden to their caregivers. I mean, they're not their caregivers, they're stockholders. Nobody's asking Coke to start selling Coke for $1 a bottle. So I went and told them, I said, they have to recoup their money. I said, they charge a lot of money, but there's a reason they charge money. If they can't make money, they're going to go out of business. And it's amazing. I had people from Johnson & Johnson and Merck and all these other different Veritas, all these different pharmaceutical facilities came after me after the meeting and said, Lou, we could have wrote down what you said, and we could have said, and nobody would have believed it. But coming from you as a patient, it put a different perspective on things. Like, I know how much it costs to build these things. I know now. Do they charge a lot? They probably do. And they do better? They probably could do better. But if it wasn't for them, I'd be worm food right now. So
other things that, that we should really talk about, we know that it's expensive, and I hate to say it, it's a hard thing to swallow sometimes,
right.
how expensive it is. But I think one of the things, and tell me if you agree, is that the pharmaceutical companies also have programs to help people who can't afford the drugs.
Right. Yes.
Assistance programs. Yes.
Every pharmaceutical company does have a outreach program. And I was just at the ASCO convention, and they were talking about survivorship, and they were talking about all the programs they're doing for different people of different needs. And they have programs. It's just a matter of you reaching out. And that's one of the things I think maybe the medical facilities have to do better. They have to coordinate. It's almost like the clinical trials. There has to be a coordination between the health caregivers and the providers, that they could sync up somehow. There's a disconnect, and we have to somehow.
Well, I think that's what
that
you've
ship.
noticed and what Esther and I have noticed too. And I think for our viewers, this is something we can all do. And that is, look, the healthcare system is massive. Cancer is a terribly frightening diagnosis for the patient and anybody who cares about them. The treatments are changing, but they're complicated. 8 cycles you had, radiation. I take all sorts of pills, bone marrow biopsies, whatever is the intervention that you have. And you're going here in this hospital and over there, and when are your appointments and your blood tests? It's daunting. But the patient voice, we need to speak up. Now, we can speak first to other patients. I do it, Esther does it, to care partners, you do it week in, week out. We talk to industry, we talk to government. But I think, Lou, you'd agree, it really makes a difference for us to speak up as healthcare consumers in a fractured system, trying to get them to work together, right?
Right. Yeah. Somehow we got to bring that into the conversation too. All the different ways of healing us and helping patients and stuff like that. It's just not one-stop shopping anymore. And there's, I guess, 70 NCI certified locations in the United States. In Philadelphia, I think there's 3, and Jefferson is one of them. And there's like 4 or 5 protocols they have to have. So they have to be a teaching hospital. They have to have an outreach program. They have to have, the medical procedures, all cancer community and everything. So there's certain parameters. You just don't get a rubber stamp in that. And that's one of the organizations that I'm involved with.
Right. Well, here's the point, I think, for our audience, Esther and Lou, is by us sharing our voices, we can make a difference. Is it maybe to one other person who's in the next chair or in the chair we used to be in at the infusion clinic? It could be talking to the people who run hospitals or pharma companies or our researchers, maybe people in the lab who've never met a patient. Whatever it is, I think we can make a difference. Lou is a shining example of that. So Lou, you got...
Well, when that's up real quick, I just want to make one point. There's another survivor I'm involved with, a guy, John Bueller from Jefferson. He's a prostate survivor. And I met him through Matt Husser and Dr. Knudsen. And I wear these, I don't know if you can see these pins. It says, "Cancer sucks and I'm a survivor." I wear these sporting events. I wear them wherever. And they're not sure I might have an adult beverage at a local brewery or something. I've talked to people that have had somebody, oh, my wife's going through this, or she just got done. And I take the pins off. It's like, well, my oncologist gave these 16 years ago, and I'm taking the, and I'm really not a nice guy. These people might try to tell you different, and I got a pocket full, but it's more effective if I take them off. And I've had people cry and thank me. Yesterday, there was a woman who was done. She rang the bell, and people doesn't know, you ring the bell when you're done your last treatment. So I went up to there, and she's with her family in her video. I said, I think you need these. And she said, what is it? I said, well, cancer sucks and you're a survivor. And she hugged me. And I mean, you can't buy a response like that. I mean, that's got to be genuine from the heart. That's what I get at, and I tell people I get much, much more than I give. I think he's got me mixed up with somebody else, because I'm going to get up to St. Pete's and he's going to say, "Lou, what are you doing up there? Get down there." But I'm not giving anything back, but I far more, and meet 2 people like you is a blessing that's too much to ask.
Lou, so you've got 5 kids.
Just 5.
5 and 4 grandkids. How do you view the future? You do this day in, how do you view the future?
Well, every organization I do, I look forward to, and that's why I do these runs, and I don't do the runs. That's evident. I help them with the runs. Let's not get stupid here. But, $10 spent on research is $1,000 in cure, treatment. So let's try to cure this stuff. That's where I see the future. As long as we keep on, you can't be selfish in this thing. None of us are selfish. You try to get back and you try to spread the warmth of the love or whatever. But I just try to, I guess that's why I'm a master, jack of all trades, master of none. I just try to reach out as many people as I can. I got my tentacles all over the place. I was in Chicago, I was in New Orleans, and talked to these people. I'm seeing people. What's amazing, when I first went to the NCCS, and people had 3 or 4 cancers. I was one and done, hopefully, But you say these women going through things. I mean, they had one type of cancer and another type of cancer, but they're still fighting. I had it once, luckily, and I made it through. My mother did. I had a close personal friend, like a brother to me, John Brzezinski. What his wife Debbie did for him is unbelievable. He didn't make it. What my sister didn't make it. How many people? Another woman, Linda Moore, breast cancer, died a year after my sister. What she went through. I'm sorry. I'm doing it for them, so I can move. They're not here. I'm doing it in their name, in their honor. And I like I said, I'm trying. I don't know if I'm doing any good, but I'm trying.
You are.
We are all very blessed to have you in the circle of people who understand that you pay it forward in any of these things. It's, you've been on your journey, you still are, but the fact that you're willing to give back, to share your experience, it's beautiful. And I'm sure that it's part of what makes you get up it sounds like it's what gets you up
Yes.
We're blessed to have you.
I just want to point out to our audience, we all can choose to give back. It can be to one other person, can be literally to thousands of other people. And Lou has certainly done that. And we've made wonderful connections with people like you, Lou, along the way. Thank you for visiting with us today. Thank you for what you do day in, day out at Jefferson Hospital, and your speeches and your visits with cancer conferences and all the stakeholders talking to students. And I think for any of us who are watching, we can consider what we can do that can make a difference. Thank you for sharing your voice, Lou.
My pleasure. All right, love to you.